to really hear your spirit and to trust you. We trust you and we trust one another, God, for this important moment in time. In Jesus' name, amen.
Well, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Well, I want to thank you all first for staying and taking part in this, and I hope you've had a chance maybe to review the videos, but if not, just a little brief discussion. We're going to go through what General Conference basically we're going to do there. We're going to talk about the governing board candidates first, and then we're going to have a brief review of the moderator candidates and then the bylaws. So you have your voting paper there, and I just thought it was good you had it to start with so you can follow by people's names and things like that. So again, thank you for coming this morning. Just a couple brief minutes about General Conference. We're all going July 1st through the 5th, for those of you who aren't and might not have known the dates. Of course, there's still time to register, and we would welcome anyone else who'd love to go. You can talk to Doug, Maggie, or myself, or either of the reverends. The MCCers that are going will be coming from around the globe. We will be conducting denominational business, providing training opportunities. We'll come together for Bible studies, theological discussions, morning and evening worships. The evenings will also be filled with special music, concerts, receptions, and comedians. A time when we can all get to know each other from around the world. All are welcome. Everyone needs to experience this life-changing worship and workshops at General Conference, so please consider it. For those who are going to General Conference, we're going to ask you all to stand up, but Reverend Nancy said to put your hand up. So would you all put your hands up again, though, because I'm not sure I actually know everybody who is going, and it's always good to see everyone's going. Alrighty, thank you. So on July 2nd, just a little brief about the General Conference. The highlights of the business meeting will be, we'll vote on the bylaws, we'll vote on the governing board candidates, and we'll vote for the new moderator. There will also be reports of the interim moderator. They will present reports, reports from the governing board, and then awards and acknowledgments. Voting for the governing board members. So I'm going to cover that briefly, the candidates, but what we would like you to know is there will be 10 candidates. There are 5 clergy and there are 5 lay positions. So 5 of them you'll see at the top there. Those are the clergies that are running, and we will pick 4. There are 4 lay positions. You see 5 candidates there, so we'll pick 4. And we're briefly just going to give you a little synopsis of each of these more than qualified people. The first one Doug's going to show here, we're going to go through. This is Alberto Najera. He's from Nicaragua. He grew up there with his family, grew up in the mountains there, it said, loved riding horses. He joined Peace MCC in 2000. He was an ordained deacon. His experience comes from focusing and teaching in the public school with LGBT at the Life Center, Hampton Roads, Virginia. And he has supported Latino ministries in MCC, Washington, and he remains close with his family in Nicaragua. Doug?
Hola, soy el Reverendo Alberto Nájera. Thank you for this opportunity to share a little about myself and commitment to you and MCC. I came from a Pentecostal background, and I did not imagine after I left my church that I would be able to serve as a senior pastor to my beloved community in Nicaragua. MCC changed my life too, like for so many of us. Our work is not done, and we know that. More now than ever, our MCC, nuestra ICM, need people with commitment to rebuild trust and for healing in our relationship. This task and effort is not only the responsibility of the new moderator, but also falls on us and the governing board to model this leadership. We have to try different things and bring different experience and expertise. We still have more work to do, more people to reach, because there are still so many of our sisters and brothers, both here and across the world, who need a place to be safe, accepted, included, and to call home, like MCC. I want to be part of the governing board because I believe we need a positive change in our leaders, and that such a change is vital for MCC to continue not only exist, but also excel in our mission. We all know that our current reality has been as divided and struggling these past few years. It is far past time for some basic change in how our governing board listen, learn, discern, and lead. Together, I believe with hard work, determination, and commitment, and God guidance, con la guía de Dios, we can realize the healing and the reconciliation and safe trust we also miss and desire again. Realicemos la sanidad y la reconciliación que todos deseamos otra vez. It is only when we start with transforming ourselves that we can hope to transform the world. And we have lasting impact on people's life, far away and close to home. Let's work together to make this happen. Que Dios nos guíe y nos ilumine.
Thanks. The next person that we're going to look at here is Reverend Elder Diane Fisher. She is from Delaware, and just briefly, just real quick, she has worked extensively with justice ministry for the LGBT, and especially in East Europe and Africa. And she was also awarded the MCC Human Rights Award in 2010.
Hi, I'm Diane Fisher. I'm the pastor of MCC Rehoboth in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. I love being by the sea. In MCC, I've served as a lay leader, as a local church pastor, as a district coordinator in 2 districts, and an elder. And I am pleased to have my name going forward as a candidate for the governing board of MCC. I love MCC. And I believe in the ministry and the mission of MCC, and I don't think our time is over. I think what might be needing to change is the way we operate, the kind of structure that we have to support our churches and our ministries. And I hope that we can be looking at that as we move forward. I bring to MCC previous experience as an executive director of a local nonprofit organization. I'm used to doing fund development and reading financial statements and sometimes finding things that seem a little odd in financial statements. I've also worked to restructure organizations, and I restructured a number of women's shelters in Canada during a fund crisis. I know that we need to look at new ways of being. I also know that we need to be far more transparent than we have been, and to be open about what it is the governing board is doing, how we are operating financially, and certainly to operate within our means and not to overestimate what we're going to be bringing in. So I'm hoping to be elected, and I would appreciate your vote. And thank you so much for being MCC and being faithful all this time.
The third one is going to be Reverend Kenny Callahan. Just real briefly, he's from MCC Richmond, Virginia. He was ordained an evangelical Lutheran minister and then transferred over to MCC a few years ago. And just briefly, he's described as a passionate leader with an infectious faith, a love for God, dedicated to movement and collective work, and he's looking to move on in MCC.
Hello, I'm Reverend Kenny Callahan, the pastor of MCC Richmond and a candidate to serve on the UFMCC governing board. I love MCC. Having served in another denomination, I know the power and freedom of being affirmed as God's beloved, just the way I am. A gay man with a passion for life, God, a desire to seek God's justice for all people, and a willingness to share the glitter of God's love and grace with everyone. Why do I want to serve on the governing board? I believe the Holy One is bringing revival to UFMCC, one of vision, purpose, trust, and healing, financial health, empowerment, and change. We are a remarkable people with a radical mission to share God's inclusive love with everyone, especially those living on the margins. Yet, like any people, we have internal and external work to do. For more than 20 years, I have helped congregations in transition do more than survive. They now thrive. For this to happen, organizations need strong servant leadership, a desire to change, and a willingness to do things differently. Here are the gifts that I would bring as a member of the governing board. First, I am a compassionate yet assertive leader who listens, speaks up when needed, and has a vision for the future. I am respectful of others, diligent about uncovering and addressing dysfunction, and effective in managing conflict. Building trust and achieving financial health takes time and effort. They also take leaders willing to listen, to forgive, and to be forgiven. With God's gifts of grace and wholeness, I believe UFMCC will become the shining example of renewal and healing and revival for our churches and the world. Thank you for listening and considering me to serve on the governing board. God's richest blessings are with you and all of MCC.
Next is Maria Alfred Harkey. I just want to briefly mention she's the president and CEO of the Religious Institute, a national multi-faith nonprofit. She holds a master's in divinity from the Episcopal Division School in Cambridge. And she's also a author, has a chapter in a book out that's Faith and Resistance in the Age of Trump. She's an author, a teacher, a speaker, and she preaches regularly. She's from Milford, Connecticut.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marie Alfred Harkey, and I am excited to be introducing myself to you as I run for MCC's governing board. I was ordained by MCC in 2016, and I currently serve as the president and CEO of the Religious Institute. We're a U.S.-based nonprofit, and we do work at the intersection of sexuality and gender and religion. We do education, advocacy, and consulting in congregations as well as in the larger public arena. I'm running for the governing board because I truly believe that MCC has a vital role to play in all of our many different contexts. I know that we as many institutions have had our problems with white supremacy, with clericalism, with sexism, with so many oppressive systems. But I also know that we, as a fellowship that was founded by and for LGBTQ people, we can claim those roots of radical resistance to oppression, and we can find our way through these things. I am truly excited about the role of MCC in the world, and I know that as congregations and individuals and as a fellowship, we have so many queer gifts to offer the world. As a nonprofit executive, I bring experience in leadership, governance, budgeting, fundraising. I'm a good and clear communicator. I really enjoy working with other people to solve problems and to think our way through things. I'm really grateful to be a part of MCC, and I'm really indebted to this fellowship for being a place where I am able to answer the call to ordained ministry. And so I care very, very much about its future. I've had the good fortune to be able to, in my role at the Religious Institute, work with all kinds of different congregations of different faith traditions as well as different denominations. And I think that breadth of experience would serve us well on the governing board. I would really appreciate your vote. Thank you so much.
And last for the clergy on the governing board is Reverend Paul Whiting. He's recently been appointed the pastor at MCC Charlotte. He has a history of working with the AARP Kansas City Diversity. And I just might mention that he has studied business administration. He holds a license with the Institute of Administrative Accounting. And he recently completed 2 terms with the network leadership in Canada and Central USA.
I'm Paul Whiting. I've been MCC clergy since 1987, and I've had the honor of serving MCC continuously during that time in Europe, in Canada, and in the USA. Each of those cultures add to the diversity which is MCC, a diversity that is ever and always changing. We began as a movement inspired by one person, but have evolved as a church of multiple expressions. Movements have a limited life determined by the need that they are built on, whereas the church is a spiritual body with diverse expression of human and divine connection. We've been experiencing the effects of that transition for 15 years. My vision is that we now fully embrace ourselves as church in its full diversity. So I offer myself to this role after much heart-searching. We can't go in with a fix-it cure until we understand what the problems are. In many ways, we have to go into this without an agenda. However, I am committed to clarity and unity. I bring experience of working with congregations in transition, of working through grief and hurt, of bringing healing and resolution. I also have a comprehensive understanding of MCC, developed over many years, which includes working on one of the early European district committees, to most recently serving 2 terms as a network leader. I also offer 40 years experience of serving on international, national and local boards as an elected member. I recognize that being elected is not a qualification, especially if nobody else wants the job. What counts is one's ability to move things forward, combining effective triage work with the clarity for rehabilitated vision. We cannot be what we once were, but we can seek to be better. Thank you.
So those are the 5 clergy candidates. I don't know that I have that.
Yeah. It's one board of clergy and laity, so it's 8 people. And they, in a sense, the General Conference elects them to be like the board of directors here. They are responsible for developing with the moderator a budget to monitor finances, fundraising. They work with the moderator on policies that guide MCC over time. And so they have very key decisions to make and policies that affect our bylaws, and they are in charge of the General Conference when it gathers. They appoint groups like the nominating committees and all of that, so they have an appointing authority, and they function, but you think of them as the congregation is the General Conference, the board of directors is like the governing board, and the moderator is like the pastor CEO. That's a very thumbnail short thing, but basically between 3-year General Conferences, the governing board is making decisions on behalf of all of us.
Thank you, Reverend Nancy. The lay candidates, then, there are 5 here, and I'm not going to go in because they talk basically to their own credentials on there. So first one is Chad Hobbs, and he is from local Tampa, Florida.
Greetings, global MCCers. My name is Chad Hobbs, and I am honored to be one of your candidates on the slate for election to the governing board of MCC at General Conference 2019 in Orlando, Florida. I reside in sunny Tampa, Florida with my husband Samuel and our 3 fur babies, Pastina, Kaylee, and Bailey. I'm also a longtime member of MCC Tampa. I decided to run for the governing board after watching from the sidelines the happenings of MCC prior to and since our last General Conference in 2016. Like many others, I'm concerned with what I've seen in our financial and structural challenges. I love the mission and work of MCC, and I want to see it continue for many future generations. I believe I have the relevant skills to be part of a governing board that can help to right the ship, so to speak. As I've said to my friends that have asked why I would want to do this, my answer has consistently been, I decided it was time to stand up or shut up. Meaning that if I wasn't willing to jump in and offer my skills to help, then I couldn't continue to express disappointment in what was happening. I've worn many hats at MCC Tampa, from serving on the board of directors, as the church treasurer, the church bookkeeper, and as a member of the pastoral search committee. I'm currently a lay delegate and a member of the pastoral relations committee. Through all my work at MCC Tampa, I've become more interested and involved with work at the denominational level. I served on the Assessments Review Commission, and I'm currently serving on the programming and 50th anniversary gala planning teams for General Conference 2019. I believe all these roles, in addition to my 30-plus years of corporate experience in management and leadership, program and project management, and corporate training, would make me an excellent candidate for the governing board of MCC. I look forward to seeing everyone in Orlando for General Conference, and I thank you for this opportunity.
Next is Claire McLaughlin. She's from Redford, Michigan.
Hi, my name is Claire Coughlin, and I'm a candidate for the governing board. I'm excited about the opportunity to serve the denomination at this time. You may be wondering why I decided to run. And in honesty, in my time with MCC, I had never considered it before. But when the announcement was made, I felt a true calling, and I felt it was one that I couldn't ignore. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have been with MCC since 1999, and during that time I have served on the local board of directors in several capacities, from member at large to clerk, treasurer, and vice moderator. I am currently serving as the chair of the pastoral search team, as well as being the lay delegate for Divine Peace MCC. In my secular work experience, I have gained vast knowledge about budget management, supervision of staff and volunteers, as well as leading through times of change and transition. I have several attributes that I believe will be beneficial to MCC. I am trustworthy. I am committed to excellence. I can see the big picture, but I'm also detail-oriented, which to me means I can be looking ahead to the goal, but hopefully not being tripped up on the way there. I have good communication skills, listening, speaking, and writing, and I am proud to say that I believe I developed those through the examples of my parents and siblings, many of whom are educators. Since submitting my application, things in my life have changed significantly. My spouse of 32 years had a serious heart attack. She went through open heart surgery, and through problems that occurred, spent 11 weeks in the hospital and in rehab. Her journey is not over yet, as she continues to work to get well. And I can't help but see the correlation with MCC. I believe that we are entering a time of healing after a period of distrust and division. I want to be able to use my skills and experience to help MCC to grow stronger and healthier for all of us, as well as for those to come. Thank you for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you at General Conference in July.
Next is James Chavez. He's originally from New Jersey but resides now in Texas.
Hi, my name is James Chavis, and I serve as Vice Moderator of the Board of Servants at my home church, MCC San Antonio. I also serve as Interim Superintendent of a charter school district here in the San Antonio area. And in both of these capacities, it requires that I listen with an open mind and a receptive heart. Not only to those who agree with me, but with those who have differing opinions and viewpoints. My work has led me to realize the great value of working together in order to accomplish common goals. I believe that we must come together like never before if we're to live in our mission and vision of building bridges that liberate and unite all around the world. Our recent history has inspired me to bring my years of experience as an educator and facilitator to the table. My service in both my church and my career have given me broad exposure to budgets, personnel matters, coordination with differing supervisory agencies and experience in creating and implementing not just long-term visioning, but the practical day-to-day work of making an organization responsive and responsible. Members of our community around the world continue to struggle for freedom, to live authentic lives that reflect their God-given right to love and express their truth. And I believe in the call of Jesus, who requires that we love our neighbors as ourselves. I'm committed to do what I can to strengthen my local church community as a place of hope, love, and inclusion, and to do what I can to help support MCC as we spread that message around the world. I believe I have a contribution to make to be an active part of an organization and a movement that positively impacts our community and helps create a more loving, compassionate world. I believe that God embraces and celebrates all of us who seek to know, understand, and experience God's inclusive love and amazing grace. I ask for your support as a candidate for the governing board because MCC matters, not just to me, but to all of God's children all over the world. God bless you, and see you at General Conference.
I'm just going to mention, I know I didn't on others, but because he didn't address his credentials very well at all, he stuck with, why he wanted to be part of this. He has been in education for 16 years. He's a teacher, a counselor, as a coordinator, a director, and he's now an interim superintendent of a charter school district, and he has a master's in education and a bachelor's in science management. Okay, next is Mark Godet.
My name is Mark Godet, lay candidate for the MCC Governing Board. Thank you for allowing me this time to share my qualifications for the Governing Board and my vision for MCC. I started with MCC more than 15 years ago. I left for a brief period of time to explore other options and returned in 2013. Shortly after, I was accepted into the LEAD program. The skills I learned in this program, I was able to apply in my personal life, my corporate career, at my local church, and now on the MCC Governing Board. In addition to earning my LEAD certificate, I also earned a certificate to teach the CLM program, and I'm also serving on a 5-year term in the MCC Judicial Pool. At my local church, I'm a member of the Board of Directors. I've held the positions of Treasurer, Assistant Treasurer, Member at Large, and my current role as Vice Moderator. In my corporate career, I have more than 20 years of systems and HR experience. I have a strong background in human resources, project management, data management, process improvement, user training, and the experience working with both technical and non-technical management from all parts of the world. I am passionate around the issue of justice and equality. I envision MCC will continue to embrace justice by supporting and promoting the denomination's positions on social issues as well as defending the rights of people in need. I strongly believe MCC has a bright and promising future. It's important that we learn from our previous mistakes and continue to build and maintain unity moving forward. In closing, as a governing board member, I'd be committed to supporting our local and international churches, as well as our greater social justice movement. We can be stronger together by developing a trusting relationship based on mutual respect. This will allow us to live in our motto of transforming ourselves as we transform the world. Thank you for your time in viewing this video. God bless you, and God bless MCC.
And the last lay candidate is Stan Kimmer.
Hello, my name is Stan Kimmer, and I am honored to be on the slate of this July's Governing Board elections. I am currently a member of NEMA MCC in Matito Ande, Kenya, led by Reverend Michael Kamindu, and I hope you all get to meet him at General Conference soon. A little about me. I have been a lay leader in my local church and across the denomination since 1992, gladly sharing my expertise in strategic planning, leadership development, diversity, stewardship, and financial management. Recently, I served on the Moderator Nominating Committee, and I hope you have all read our detailed report. My experience with the MNC has been phenomenal. We are a diverse team of 5 very strong individuals who came together and committed ourselves to deeply listening to one another and sincerely seeking the leading of the Holy Spirit. This experience helped renew my faith that strong and diverse people can come together as a unified team. I know the past few years have been particularly tough for MCC, but I truly believe that God is not through with us yet. We have a calling to minister globally to diverse people on the margins of society, to share with them that they are beloved children of God. But all of us must lay aside any vestiges of organization before ministry, of power before servanthood, and of personal agendas before God's calling. I want to be part of a new dynamic leadership team that will lead us in a growing spirit-filled ministry. My promise to all of you is that I will conduct myself as I always have over my past 25 years in MCC, with 100% honesty and transparency at all times. I look forward to seeing you all in Orlando, Florida, USA this July.
And again, Stan didn't say much, but just briefly so you know on his bio, it says that he has extensive corporate knowledge and experience of 30 years global with IBM for marketing, finance, development, operations, human resources, and diversity management. He retired in 2010. Alrighty. So those are the clergy and the lay, and that's the governing board. We're going to move on into the moderator to keep moving here. Just a couple quick things. Doug is going to just briefly go over the candidates, but what we wanted to do was just review for you some key points here. We'll be voting for a moderator. There are 3 nominees, and it's necessary that to be elected that the candidate must have 50% of the lay delegate vote and 50% of the clergy. Okay? Some core competencies that the organization has looked at is that the moderator needs to have strong decision-making skills, ego strength, organizational agility, process management skills, personal resilience, public presence, strategic leadership skills, preaching and worship leadership skills, leadership empowerment, cultural competency and embracing diversity, and supervision skills and team orientation. Just to review those so that you have in mind when you're looking at the candidates and their qualifications. And Doug's going to present a little bit about the moderators.
Hello, everybody. I know most of you are here because one of the most important votes that we'll be taking is the moderator of MCC, and we've been really blessed to have one of our own members nominated for that. These are the 3 people that are nominated to be voted on as moderator of MCC, and the room is split into half. You've got your clergy on one side and your lay delegates on the other side that are voting. And they have to get 50% of the clergy votes and 50% plus 1, I'm sorry, and 50% plus 1 of the lay delegate votes to be elected. It didn't happen last time. So I'm going to start with Elizabeth. Liz, as we know her here. So if you hit the Joe, there you go. Liz has extensive 18-year history here at our church. Everybody had a 2-page resume, and I'm not going to go through the whole resume, but I will highlight a few things. Is that right? Okay. She's treasurer of the MCC Governing Board from 2010 to 2013. She was an MCC Network Facilitator from 2013 through 2017. MCC Office of Church Life and Health. She was a Board of Directors trainer from 2014 to 2018. And she was a board member here at Suncoast from 2003 through 2011, 2016 through 2018, 2006 through 2010, 2016 through 2018. So she has extensive experience here on our board. And she's served in many, many other capacities here at our church. She's worked for IBM from 1980 to the present, and she's currently Global Operations Leader for Cognitive Solutions with IBM. She's married to Charlene, you know that. And she's also had an award for MCC Governing Board Excellences in Worldwide Leadership, and Suncoast MCC Leadership Award. She's received that several times. We aren't going to play any videos on the moderator candidates because a matter of time, and we've also had them posted on our website for a long time when we had webinars over the last 2 months, and so they are there for people who want them. We all know Liz anyway, so we'll go on to the next person, and that's Reverend Elder Cecilia Eggleston. And Reverend Eggleston started with MCC in 1989 and co-founded as a pastoral leader in Bath, England. So she's been involved with MCC since 1989. She most recently is pastor of Northern Lights MCC from 2007 to 2016. She's been a regional elder with MCC Community Churches 2002 through 2006 and European District Coordinator with MCC Community Churches where, from 1998 through 2002. Let's see. She speaks English, German, and French. And the next person is Tony Freeman. Joe? Tony has had a long experience with MCC. He has started in 1995. He started in Key West, and he completed his internship there at MCC Key West. He went to San Diego for 10 years. He was senior pastor in San Diego, and he took their attendance from 2,000 to 450 people a week, and he increased their income by 90%. He also helped in Sacramento in stabilizing that church, and in Toronto, Canada, he served as Director of Congregational Life and Executive Pastor. He went on to work for our denomination here in Sarasota as Director of Office of Church Life and Health, and we all know how valuable he was to us when we lost Reverend Sherry. He currently is at MCC of the Palm Beaches, and we're serving as interim senior pastor. He's had some secular experience, piloting a giving program and with grants. He's a member and past chair of UFMCC Strategic Growth Team and chair of the MCC Structure Review Team and MCC Governing Board member from 2010 to 2013. So those are our three candidates for moderator, and we'll be voting on them today and get the results back today. The next session that we'll be going to is on the bylaws. You want to say something more? We can do whatever you'd like. Because we're not voting on bylaws today. Only 5 of the bylaws arrived last night. So out of 9 bylaws, 4 of them we've had for a week, and then the others came in last night. So we won't be voting on bylaws. I will provide a copy of all the bylaws to all the members of our church via email this afternoon, so you can read those over if you want. And since we're not voting on them, Maggie has prepared a little bit of a summation on the bylaws. Would you like to do the vote first? You have more time to count?
I'm just thinking, Vicki, that if we had the vote, we could take a short break during that vote to do the website and then come back and finish up with the bylaws. Okay. Sometimes that's a lot, sometimes you need to change a little bit. So we're going to do 2 things. We're going to actually vote on the candidates, and then we don't vote yet, and then we will have a little presentation while they're counting votes, and they're only going to count the moderator votes today because it's just a lot to count and we'll publish the results of the governing board vote too, so everybody will know that by next week. Is that all right? And then once we finish the little website presentation, then we will do the bylaws, and as they're still counting, I imagine. So,
we have everybody's email.
Is that all right?
There are members that will communicate with you with all that additional information.
All right, did everybody, I don't know if everyone heard what you said.
And Two things about that. First of all, there could be more than one ballot. So basically what happens is we get the guidance from our congregations to guide the lay delegates, especially on the first ballot. By the time you get to the second ballot, things may change. And at that point, our delegates especially may have to make a different decision based on what options they have. That's kind of the understanding of how we've done it. But taking your input is extremely important, especially for that first ballot for our lay delegates. Thank you.
So everybody fill out your ballot. We're going to collect. Nancy, what do you want to do?
You can just circle it or put a check mark. No, people are crossing them out, voting for them. So if there's nothing, if you don't want to vote for someone, don't put anything on their name. So a check mark or a circle. Or an X, right. An X, a check mark.
Show the website when we do the bylaws. I did. Okay. While we're collecting ballots,
Who's collecting?
so I want to say a thank you while we're collecting ballots to our lay delegates, and yes, they really have taken their role seriously and held forums and really reviewed all of the candidates. So we thank them for their work. It's just beginning. As we get to General Conference, they'll be busy people, right? Secondly, while we're reviewing the ballots, we want to show you our new website if you haven't had a chance to see it. And I'm going to ask Yolanda and Beth and Doug. Doug, you're probably busy running that, but we'd like for you to come forward if you can. If you can't, then we will recognize you from where you are. All right, so come on up. Yes. So this was your team that they have been on probably over a year and a half process of totally redoing our website. And I know they got input from many of you, but it's been a major project. And we thank Yolanda for being the team leader and for really having the vision for this and setting the tone for it. Beth has done a lot of the technical work on the website and gotten help be some changes that we needed and reviews. And then we also want to recognize Doug. Yolanda said that he has been the top contributor to this project. And I'm just going to quickly say, Doug, some of the things that you have done. You've reached a number of design decisions before making the selection. You maintained 2 websites for about 7 months while the new one was being designed. You partnered with a number of vendors to learn, address, and resolve technical issues. You participated in numerous meetings and discussions to determine layout, colors, fonts, sizes, pictures, content. You built a photo gallery. You filmed congregational members, which some of you did, and us, Nancy and I, for videos. You performed multiple technical tests. You launched the website with no major issues or problems. Yeah. And we have learned that you have been very receptive to trying new approaches. You were always willing to learn new things, and you've been so open to feedback from the sounding board very early on. So thank you, Doug, for helping to make this happen, and to Beth and Yolanda. Okay, so do either of you want to talk about, now there is a password that they can use. So you want to tell them about that, or?
Okay. Well, thank you, Well, thank you, everyone. We do hope that you get a chance to go check out the website The website will constantly be changing. Our goal is to kind of refresh it, keep it, interesting, make sure that it has an appeal to attract people to our site for information. We wanted to make sure that the main thing that was visible was information about our events. Events are important from a fundraising perspective. They're important from a networking perspective. They're important to really let the world, because it's the internet, know who we are. So the events, if you look at the website, we try to design it with the categories on the top or your main menus, and within each area you'll see more drill down about those topics. But you have your home site. In your home site, you will have the events, sermons, things that are prominent right there. But then you go to each area. We also have these banners that we hope to use them in a strategic way. We can have 4 or 5, so we'll swap them out with, maybe we have an upcoming fundraiser that we're really wanting to attract the community. We might want to use that when we work on our strategic plan. There might be something that we want to emphasize and share. We might use that. We want to use it for pictures. We also try to make it more interactive so that you'll see testimonials in here. Early on, we were able to get the stories of some of the members, why they joined, why they stayed. So we have those there, but we hope to refresh it with new members as they're joining, hear their stories, and post those there. Because the best way to attract someone is when they hear from someone else. Think about anything you shop or you buy. You usually try to get a recommendation from somebody. And so that's the goal, to make it more interactive. One thing we heard is that we wanted to have a member site where we can post information that would be, like minutes for board meetings, or, a public version of financials, things that maybe mailing lists or phone lists of congregation and ministry. So if we had to call for a meeting, or you wanted to know a little bit more about the ministry and wanted to get together with that group. So we're still kind of developing it, but it's it's on the footer of the home page, but it's also in About Us. You'll see a member site. The password is Rainbow. And we made it simple. We'll continue to share that. Lowercase, thank you, Doug. Rainbow. Okay, I thought I talked loud enough. That's what my family tells me. Okay, but Rainbow is the password, and right now we have minutes there, but we're hoping to populate it there. What we want to ask the ministry leads, if you want to put a summary of what your group does, or if you want to put some minutes of what your group is doing, Venice Pride, for example, things that you want to share with the congregation, this is the place to do it, and we'll show you how to post documents, and they'll be there. So that we're kind of evolving a little bit. Right now I think we just have minutes there to give you an idea of how that works. But we have testimonials, we have videos, we have a welcome video for new members by the reverends. And if you have any other ideas of how we can improve it, let us know. But the events was one of the key things, because we wanted to make sure that people had the information ahead of time. They knew the date, the place, the location, if there's a cost, and a little bit of description. We're also created a prayer wall, now that I saw Jean Hatter there. The prayer wall is a supplement to what we already have. We have prayer surges that happen, we have the prayer wall, we have the congregation team. We wanted to add another tool, another way for people to reach out to us if they needed prayers. It would be, they would send it in, and it would go to the congregation team for response, if the person wanted a visit or a phone call or just a prayer. So we've added that so that we can expand outside of even Venice, Florida. We can really reach anywhere in the world if somebody wants to reach out to us for prayer. So we try to improve on it. We're going to have we have an archive of the pastor's letters, so that if you recall that the pastors had written something and don't recall exactly what, you can go back, there's an archive. So take a little time to explore it. I do want to, thank Doug. It was a lot of work to explore a new design, to work with different vendors, to listen to Yolanda and, please do it this way, and that's why it's good to set this up and work through making those changes. Change is not easy, but I think we got a good core product to build on. So take time. If you feel, gosh, we're missing this, or I've seen this on this website, come to us. We definitely will try to incorporate it to the best of our ability. But it's a good place now for like what I call one-stop shopping. Hopefully in the Eclipse and the bulletin, sometimes it reaches just those people that receive it. This will have a broader stretch. So with that, let us know as you're browsing through it what you think and how we can improve it. Thank you so much. And thank you, Doug.
Okay, thanks again. And before we share the results and go into the bylaws, I just want to say if you have not registered for General Conference, and even if you cannot go the entire time, you can go for a day. And I just would so encourage that. It really will change your whole perspective of MCC and how we are connected globally. It is just amazing. I've met people from all over the world and every time we see each other every 3 years, it's just like a reunion. So check out the schedule. Pick the day that might be the best that you might want to attend some things. Worship services are phenomenal, and they are open, and they are so powerful. So even if you come over for a worship service, I believe Troy Perry is preaching on Monday night. So it will be a late night, but try to coordinate doing that. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to say is that all of the candidates that were presented, I don't know if we had said that they went through a review process. And so I believe for the moderator, there were maybe about 10 applicants or so, and only 3 were selected to come forward for our vote. So whether or not Liz gets elected or not, it is a great, great honor for her to have been chosen as one of the candidates. And so we celebrate that as a member of our congregation who has those leadership skills and was recognized for that. And so we're very proud of her for that. Whether or not she's elected, whatever happens, her willingness to come forward and give of herself to MCC, we really have a treasure there. Okay, so you want to... we let you all share
it. So Beth gave us the tally. So Liz is the #1 choice by the congregation for candidates. Reverend Nancy says say 2 and 3 too. So Reverend Elder Tony Freeman was #2, and then Elder Cecilia was #3. So Maggie's going to give a little brief synopsis of the bylaws here.
Okay, like I said, I'm going to send out email this afternoon with all the proposals so everybody can see all the proposals. All right?
This is the most exciting part. I have been a parliamentarian. Reverend Vicki had a debate team in her former life, which she had to deal with parliamentarians, high school parliamentarians. I love bylaws. I don't like getting bylaws 5 minutes before the church started. We did get 4 in advance, which Doug's going to put up there on the board. That's if you want to spend all afternoon, I have some other things to do, but if y'all don't, I'll stay with you. We can synopsize these pretty quickly. There's nothing to be said about this one much, except that you don't have to be, if it passes, you don't have to be baptized to be a member of MCC. Some churches have already changed, and now we're hoping that perhaps it will change and people won't feel hurt or offended in some different ways. We don't know why they would feel that way, but refusing membership to someone, you could lose them over a simple thing like baptism. So it If any of you have any questions concerning these, I will stay a little bit longer and we'll go over them. But this probably won't have too many questions. Bylaw number 2, it's, let me go back to 1 for a second. The affected bylaw was Article 3B.2. The right of attaining membership in the church. 1 or 2. When it goes back up. Well, the rationale is to live into the core values of MCC and increase visibility of all persons. I think
in our statement of faith it said we believe in the priesthood of all believers, but I think they wanted it in the bylaws section around ministry to strengthen the idea that the ministry of lay people is as important as the ministry of clergy. I believe that's the case. So usually there's more of a clear rationale, but I believe that's it.
And they've also go away. They've also spelled out where there'll be no discrimination in any form for staff or lay or clergy. They're pretty much the same all through the world. I won't have any, we'll have all equality for sex, gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, culture, tribe, age, physical or cognitive ability, medical diagnosis, health status, nationality, or economic status in terms of employment and personnel procedures and service delivery, and all that we do in MCC. Is that clear? No? See me after church. We'll talk about it. This was just language.
Actually, yeah. This one is really showing sensitive, especially to gender diversity, that some people don't identify as he or she. And so some people identify with a different pronoun or they, and so we're trying to avoid a binary gender expression in the bylaws. So in the initial bylaws, it said only he 50 years ago, and so they changed that to he and she, but now they're trying to make it a much more neutral and inclusive. I believe that's the reason.
Mm-hmm. Rationales live into the core values of MCC and ensure inclusion of non-binary persons. So we don't want anybody to feel they're not recognized because they don't want to say he or she. Before now, we've had, it was spoken to the individual churches that they elect their lay delegates following the General Conference. And it's now felt that that puts too much, doesn't give the churches enough flexibility. And we want the individual churches to be able to run their own lay delegates and when they're elected. Excuse me, 19, it's too far gone. The terms of office for the governing board was to be 3 years, and the motion from the floor raised it to 6 staggering years, and no one has served 6 years. So the motion is to go back to 3 years, and if the person who serves wants to be reelected, then they submit their name again for governing board. It doesn't prohibit them from serving 6 years, it just allows them to leave in 3 or less. Oh, this is one of the ones we got last night. Yes. Yeah.
So our experience over the last 3 years, we had just a revolving door of governors, and what happened is that governors ended up appointing governors, and then appointed governors ended up appointing new ones, so that there was a feeling that nobody on the governing board was elected by the General Conference. So it's very easy to have a virtual General Conference and to have persons that they recommend elected, officially approved by the General Conference. That's easy to do now. We've done it many times. So that would just help the governing board to feel like they have elected people serving.
That also, I believe, makes the general population of MCC feel a little more secure in that they have input into that. The word that they took away from that proposed bylaw was disloyalty. Everything else is pretty much the same. If the governing board determines that one of its members is unable or unwilling to fulfill the responsibility of the position, the governing board may, by a majority vote of the full board, remove that member from the board. They have to give them written notice, and then they allow them to come forth and answer to the charges. And they have 30 days. The reason, the rationale is the ground. Currently, there's no method of removal of the governing board member except by other members of the governing board, and they're going to allow a special election, which we'll speak to in a minute. The word disloyalty is removed because it has no objective definition, whereas the other grounds do have definitions found either in the law or in the MCC Code of Ethics. So that word will be struck if passed. Right now, and this was originally done because the United States has more churches than any other country at this time, and at that time of this proposed amendment, and it's to keep one country from dominating. But you have to have someone to go along with you. Right now, the requirement is 2 different countries to support the one making the amendment. Now they want to take it down to 1 country. So it could be United States, Canada, Canada and some other country. It has to be a country, and hopefully it'll go down to 1. I have more. You think you're getting out of here? I have more. I have 8 and 9. And if y'all can go without knowing about these, that'll be fine. It talks about the special general conference that can be called. You saw that, okay. And what happened to 9? There it went. This is a procedure for submitting bylaw proposals. If any layperson wants to submit a proposal, it would be nice to have the approval of your church. We want to support the clergy and the lay delegates sponsoring bylaw proposals. But we want to keep the spirit of connecting with other countries' clergy and lay delegates to sponsor a bylaw amendment proposal, but reduce it from 2 to 1, again, with the previous one. So That's in a nutshell. And
thank you very much. So at the conference, yes, is there? Yeah, the moderator is the moderator of the governing board. Is like in a local. Yes. Yes. Oh yes. And there's even there's a special bylaw for removal of the moderator beyond being part of the governing board. Yes, those all exist within the bylaws. It's very hard to look at bylaws amendments when you don't have the bylaws in front of you, so that's a little bit of a challenge. And I think, all bylaws amendments and other things that usually come with financial impacts and things like that will come to the conference. And the forum, the day before General Conference, people will get to hash those over even more, so that by the time they come on Tuesday to the conference, we usually are pretty clear at what's going to happen. So yes. Yes, I believe so. I believe the business meeting and the forum will be live. I believe they also live stream worship. I think they even were able to do that the last time. So I would think in Orlando they'd really be able to do that well. So, right, we'll make sure as soon as that information is out. But yes, and that should be that should be broadcast widely. So, okay. So any more questions about conference, you can ask any of us who have been, and thank you for doing such a great job. Thank our lay delegates again.